community safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When they're investigating, we can't stop watching. This month on BritBox, sit back, relax, and enjoy watching the detectives. Discover Britain's most bingeable mysteries, including the brand new season of Grace, the hit series based on the books by best-selling author Peter James. Unwind with the detectives you could watch all night long. Stream them all now exclusively on BritBox. Endlessly intriguing. Start your free trial at BritBox.com.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning. This is Bill Krause on the Roundtable on a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning. Weather is nice. The sunshine is shining. It isn't too hot yet, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day. We are very fortunate to have two ladies with us this morning who come from Cardinal Realty Solutions. Not only going to be talking about the world of real estate in terms of client and what it takes to buy a house, but their great, great involvement out in the community through giving their time and their energy and their efforts to nonprofits. I'm welcoming Melinda Lawson, who heads up the Cardinal Realty Solutions, and her associate, Melissa Taylor, 2 M's, M&M. Good candy for the morning. Welcome aboard.
Thank you for having us.
And I always like to start out every show with a little background of who you are, where you were born, where you raised, your journey of life, to the point of coming to the round table on the first day of June. We'll start with you, Melinda. Where were you born and your life story?
Well, I was born in Nashville, but I was raised here in Rutherford County. My parents still live in the house that I was raised in. I guess we moved there. I was about 18 months old, and they still live there, out by the lake between Smyrna and Laverne. And a lot has changed since they bought out that way.
And you went to, what high school did you go to?
Well, at that point in time, I started at the old Smyrna High School.
Okay.
I'm going to tell my age here. When it's now the Smyrna Middle School. And then they built Laverne High School and Smyrna High School and transferred there. And we thought we were something in that big old school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you were debuting the school.
It was, and it was huge. And I drove by there the other day, and they've added on probably about 3 times since I graduated.
Exactly. And professionally, after you graduate from high school, your journey to where you are now with Cardinal Realty Solutions.
It was a long, winding journey to get into
curves
real
on
estate.
it.
Yes, yeah. I went to college at David Lipscomb for a little while, and then went into the workforce, got married, started another business with a friend. We did new construction cleaning and had a cleaning business, and we both decided we were tired of that. And my husband said, "Why don't you get into real estate?" And I thought he was crazy.
Was the market hot at the time?
No.
Oh, so
No,
in the
not
low
really.
point of the market.
Yeah, well, they were just coming out of, I got my license in 2011.
Okay.
And at that point in time, it was coming out of the
2008
Yes, yes. And there were a lot of foreclosures and short sales. And so getting in the market then, I had to learn how to negotiate short sales.
Exactly.
And that was something else that I hope I never have to do again. But
And your associate, who's Melissa Taylor. Melissa, where were you born and your background?
I am originally from outside of Denver in Colorado, and then moved here after going to school out here. I went to a private Christian school near Henderson, and then ended up moving here. I was a teacher for about 10 years in
Rutherford County schools.
Yes, in the Rutherford County schools.
Which
I
one?
taught at Rock Springs Middle and Rockvale Middle. I taught special ed, and I loved it, but wanted to be home when I had my second child, and so I was staying home and doing some other things. And then about a year and a half, ago, Melinda called and said she needed some help doing office things.
Supporting.
Doing social media stuff and helping with events for clients and that kind of stuff. So I started working with her about a year and a half ago. And
how'd the two of you meet originally?
We met at church.
In church, okay.
Yes, her husband was my girls' youth minister, and they did a lot of activities
and
for
which
the
church
kids.
is this?
Stewart's Creek Church of Christ in Smyrna.
Okay.
And so they got my girls really involved, and they do a lot of good things with them, and that's how we met. Yeah.
Rather than just lead off in what would normally be the traditional of real estate and your vantage point, not statistics, not data, but what it takes to have a client make a decision or a client know what they're looking for, I'd much rather jump over to the other part of your involvement in nonprofits, your involvement in the community. You're giving back to the community. You're making longtime friends in the community. Tell us a little bit about your nonprofit world.
Well, I would say that I got involved in the community. I mean, I've always been involved trying to help in the church. You know, help those in our congregation that need it. But in the community, when I got into real estate, I joined the Community Relations Committee at our Middle Tennessee Association of Realtors. And they do a lot of things within the community, so that's what got me started and involved. I got introduced to like Meals on Wheels, which is a wonderful program for our elderly and shut-in in the community. Started doing that, and then a few realtors joined me in helping do that as well. But there's just, and then I got involved in Kiwanis there for a while.
Okay.
I did have to step away from that, but talking with someone about maybe getting back, they do wonderful things for the children in our community, lots of programs there. We just try to do just anything we can do. Yes, something outreach. So like we do coat drives and food drives.
You put on a meal for the police and fire?
We did. That was a couple of years ago. We would love to try to do another one this year, but we just wanted to tell our local police officers and EMTs and fire that we appreciate them, and so we just made sack lunches for them to come by, either eat or grab a bag and go on their way. Who knew that day it seemed like everybody in Rutherford County was having an emergency. So
wow, so you hit peak time.
So we had to go. We ended up dropping some off. It didn't have a lot be able to come by, so we just packed it all up and took it to the fire halls and the police station and said, well, you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
How do you measure the smile of a person who receives the generosity and love of a giver?
I don't think you can measure. I mean, it's just, sometimes it just brings me to tears and I'm not, there are so many wonderful people in this community that do so much more than I do. I had told my husband that I would love to start a charity, but when I started looking into it, that is a lot of work. And these people that have started these charities and run these charities, they are to be commended for all the work that they do and all they sacrifice to give back to our community.
It's fascinating the amount of time and effort and energy an individual can contribute, and it actually becomes a significant aspect of their life. How does this go for you, Melissa?
Well, I love helping in the community too. Obviously, that my husband and I working with the youth, that's a big part. That's not a paid position. We just do that because we love that and all of that. So, and having that teacher and servant heart, this has been an awesome transition to being with Cardinal and helping. And like last month, we did a giveaway for some tickets to the zoo for teachers. We had people nominate their favorite teacher, and it was Melinda and I were both like in tears seeing all the wonderful things that these kids said, because I had a section where they could like say why it was their favorite teacher, and just the heartwarming thing we both said, like, we wish we could give just all of them.
All of them.
So,
Open the zoo up to everyone in Rutherford County schools.
So it was awesome. But I love giving back to those things and doing that too.
Which actually, you just raised a key point. You know, we urge people to say thank you for your service to a veteran, or thank you for your service to a emergency person, police, fire, EMT. Say thank you to your elementary school and high school teacher on behalf of your children. It's a very challenging opportunity and a challenging job. I was really interested in a comment when we were visiting off Mike earlier, how Cardinal Realty got its name. I just think that's such an inspirational story.
Well, I'm going to try to say it without crying, you know.
All right. Well, I think we have Kleenexes around. I don't see it. Bring up the Kleenex.
So when I was trying to come up with a name, I went through, I did not want the company to have my name because I didn't want it to be all about me. But I was trying to find a name that meant something. And I am going to cry.
All right.
When my grandfather passed away, I remember seeing cardinals, and cardinal is like a symbol of spiritual
faith and
and
love and respect.
So then when my grandmother was passing away, I looked out the front door, and there was just a whole bush. I mean, there was tons of them. I've never seen that many cardinals in one. And I just told my husband, that's it. That's the
There's
name.
a message that they had gotten to where they were going safely.
They did.
And everything was okay. They'll be okay, and they want you to be okay.
And I just wanted the company to just have a symbol of something more than just, yes, I'm in the business to sell real estate and help people find their future home or get to where they need to be, but I also wanted it to be more than that. You know, just more than just selling real estate.
Now, a lot of the client base that you have are young couples, first home buyers, would you say?
I would say we have a good mixture. We have a lot of, I have several that were first time buyer, you know, and they've gone and when they've had started family, helped them find that next house and moved on up. But we do work a lot with first-time home buyers, especially like my daughter just graduated from college, and so her friends are starting to get married and buy houses and that age group, and it's they don't know what to do.
What would you tell a young couple or young person, could be single, buying their first house? What advice would you tell them before they even ever call the realtor in the first place? What are some of the steps you would advise them? What should they be thinking about? Is it just price? Is it just location? Is it just the amenities? Is there something else? Do you have them buying a home rather than a house? How do you buy a home?
Well, it's funny. One of my daughter's friends sat down with me, and I told her, I said, I'm just going to talk to you just like I would my own. Know your budget. Like, you're starting out, you don't have a lot of debt. There is a difference between getting pre-qualified and knowing your budget. And don't get where you feel like you have to have everything now. A lot of people I see feel like that they need to have their parents' home.
Correct.
When they're starting out. And that's
their point of reference.
Right, it is. And their parents' home, they worked up to that. And I tell them it's okay to have a starter home and move up, but know your budget, because things in life happen. Your car may break down, or you're going to need repairs, or you're going to want to go on vacation. You don't want to be strapped to spending so much on a house that you can't afford to do anything else but live in your house.
Well, one of the major causes of the huge real estate drop way back in 2008 was the fact that people were filling out their financial statements and they were putting overtime as a source of income. And their budget for housing was based upon not only their base salary, but on their overtime. And during the beginning of a recession or near recession in that period of time, the first thing companies were cutting back was overtime, and there's a person back with a net income, and it's not really enough to carry their housing. So, be very conservative in terms of projecting your income. don't anticipate that you're going to get a raise in a year, or don't anticipate you're going to get a promotion in a year. Base it on your current salary. Has interest rates been a negative effect?
It's challenging, yes, because we've had a lot of people that, well, I'm going to wait till those interest rates go back down. And I'm like, well, you tell me when that's going to be, and well, I'll be rich.
But you know, the interesting thing I haven't really even heard, so goes interest rates up, so goes return on CDs and savings and investments up. And, you know, we haven't really even measured the senior citizen who may have money put away in a CD, and maybe 6-8 months ago they were getting 0.2, 0.3, some
Right.
horrible return.
Yes.
There are banks right now paying over 5%. And if you take a look at from a 1%, let's say, to a 5% increase in interest rates for the senior, and not just senior, anybody who saves and so forth, the return on their interest is now very, very significant.
And I tell people that, you know, there's pros and cons to each market.
Yes.
So when the interest rates were extremely low, you know, you have more competition, and that pushed prices up.
Did you ever sell a house at the asking price, or was there a bid war on that house that the price ultimately acquired was 5, 10, maybe 15% higher than asking?
Yes. I mean, it was very rare in that time period. It was frustrating for a lot of people because what the list price was, you had so many people just trying to buy a house.
Yes.
Because we had so many more buyers than you did sellers. There was so much competition, and people were getting very creative on how they
Made an
offer. Yes. And it was very hard for first-time home buyers that were just starting out in life.
If you had 5 or 6 rejections at the time of, well, we had a higher offer, sorry about that,
Yes.
that'd be very frustrating, to put it mildly.
And I would just, when I sat down with people in that market, well, any market, that I just kind of, a lot of it is conversation, preparing people for what to expect.
Correct.
So we try to sit down. We have what we call, I call them, I just sit down and do a buyer's consult with my buyers and try to, especially new buyers, or if they have not done this in a while, and kind of go through the process of what to expect from buying a home and what they need and what the steps are. But also explain to them that this is not cut and dry, that things can vary, but at least if we can kind of give them
Just a
an
feel
overall
of it. Just a
of
feel.
what to expect, what the market is, how things are going these days. Is there still going to be frustration? Yes, but at least maybe they'll be prepared to not be as frustrated because, you know, you've kind of already warned them that this is the way it is. Be patient. And my philosophy, I'll tell majority of my clients, if not all of them, you'll be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
Exactly.
So if you've missed out on this house, that just means there's a better one to come.
And that generally is the case.
That generally is the case. I've had many of them come back and tell me, I'm glad you kept telling me that because I'm happier with this house than I think I would have been with that other one.
We're having a lovely visit with Melinda Lawson, who operates Cardinal Realty Solutions right here in Murfreesboro, with her associate Melissa Taylor. And we're going to get some of Melissa's response after the break. As a relatively new timer in the real estate world and servicing people, this is Bill Krause on the Roundtable on a beautiful Thursday morning.
Hey guys, this is Scott. You know, there's a lot of people talking about testosterone. You hear it everywhere, but do your homework and make sure when you go to a provider, go to one you can trust. Personally, I recommend Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness, and they check all your levels, not just your testosterone. And they determine the cause of any symptoms you're having and whether you're a candidate for low T or something else like low thyroid or sleep apnea. Typically, their annual health assessment is completely covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including PSA, which is your prostate levels. And they also check thyroid, liver, and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center also has affordable and convenient at-home treatment options. Prioritize your health in the new year. Schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today at lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
If you can dream it, Farrah Construction can turn it into reality. Shop local, Farrah Construction Company. I'm Ron Hall. Investing in property can be nerve-wracking. It does not have to be. Farrah Construction offers high-quality craftsmanship, quick response, and attention to detail. Our goal is to keep your expenses low while focusing on our attention on high-quality services. I'm Ron Hall. Shop local. Let our family business help you. Farrah Construction Company.
It's Good Neighbor Events. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day, AmeriCare Pest Control, and Cardinal Realty Solutions.
This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
Now, WGNS Good Neighbor Events. The Red Cross is critically low on blood. Phone the Red Cross and make an appointment at a time that fits your schedule. You've heard us talking about wedding dresses across decades and cultures. Now through June the 18th. And it's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. On Sundays from 1 until 5. The Women's Club of Murfreesboro, 221 West College Street. And the admission, $15. Here's something you need to know. There's a grief support group every Wednesday morning at 10 at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. And now through August 31st, there's no sales tax on gun safes sold in Tennessee. That tax-free holiday continues now until August 31st. Don't throw away old glory. Bring your tattered American flag to WGNS and let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor Events.
Good Neighbor weather. We'll see a blend of clouds and sunshine for this afternoon, along with a chance for some scattered showers and storms, highs in the mid-80s. For tonight, a low of 63. I'm meteorologist Michael Carra, News Radio WGNS, currently at 69.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
This is Bill Krause once again. Welcome back to the Roundtable on a gorgeous Thursday morning. We're having a delightful visit with Melinda Lawson and Melissa Taylor from Cardinal Realty Solutions. And the reason we invited them to be on the show is necessarily not just to be talking about real estate, but to be talking about giving to the community. And I can't begin to stress how key and how successful Murfreesboro and Rutherford County has been as a result of people contributing their time and energies and beliefs and commitment and passion for particular activities. Melissa, you've been associated just a relatively short period of time, but you bring with you a wonderful history of working with special needs in the public schools. You must have a certain love and passion for assisting. Tell me how that translates over to what you're doing with Cardinal Realty Specialty.
Mainly because I try to bring that part of, making sure that I know, and that's something, executing a dream that she wants to have, which is giving back to clients and just people in the community. Everything we put out there is, not necessarily related to real estate, like I try to share things even on our social media or in our newsletters about community events and things going on and that are good for families or singles, and just a wide variety of things. And also because that helps the economy in the community and all of that.
Well, and the interesting part is, and it's interesting words you use. I never refer to myself as a landlord. I despise that term. It goes back to old England, and it goes back to the fact the lord of the land, and I don't want to be considered the lord of the land. I don't call my residents tenants, because that has the ramification of there's not a relationship or respect for them as residents. I call myself a home enabler. I'm enabling people to have a home at a relatively competitive rent, and I call my residents and friends, providing them housing, rather than just the fact of pay the rent on the first of the month, and today's rent day, so be sure and pay your rent on the 1st of June. When you take a look at people who you meet for the first time, and they can be a first-time homeowner, have you dealt much with the person, and it's almost like your parents who have lived in the same house for years and years and years, and they want to begin downsizing? They don't want the maintenance. They don't want the square footage of a second floor, for example, and living on a single floor. Tell me about how you get to know your residents or prospective residents, your prospective clients in real estate, and that they become friends, they become long-time contacts, not just for referrals, but just because you're doing a wonderful service.
We try to get to know all of our potential clients, and like you said, I don't like to call them clients, because we try to build relationships and make friends. And everybody is different in what they need. There's an old saying is, when you become a realtor, you didn't know that you were that you were going to be a psychologist and a family counselor and things like that. But sometimes people just need that person to talk to and understand their change of life, because not every instance of needing to change home ownership is necessarily a positive one to that person. Like you said, somebody may be needing to move into assisted living or downsize or or struggling or whatever, and you want to help them with all their possibilities. And sometimes it's not. I've had, once we've talked it out, been able to help them find alternatives than selling their house. Exactly. Helping them to find programs to maybe get them back on track instead of losing their house. But I've also had where, you have in that same instance, I said I've got my daughters coming up, and they're having friends that are first-time home buyers and meeting first-time home buyers. You also have those friends whose parents are needing to make that change, and or a loss of a parent or whatever, and those are hard. I mean, because you're having to help them deal with their, not just the home, but their stuff and the loss life. And their, yes, and
60 years of life.
Right. And a lot of it is just listening. I mean, you have your set. This is the selling process of getting this house sold, but it's not all about selling that house. There is a passage, for lack of a better term, between we need to do this and getting it done, of dealing with it.
But you know what you just said? You just triggered off an idea. I love to teach because students trigger off ideas for me. You triggered off an idea of an adult child having the conversation with a senior parent well in advance. And maybe, you know, whether it's a seminar, a meeting, a presentation, I know you love to speak to large crowds, giving you a bad time there, Melinda. But basically, you know, have the conversation before the time of need of decision. And have the conversation, you know, and you even hate to say, and you're talking about growing children, adult children. What does it take for a child to be invited into their parents' home? And if I'm going to be reducing my home size, what items do you want? What are the legendary items you want? You want those coffee mugs, you want that special set of dishes, you want the silverware, etc. Not in a sense of a dramatic thing, but to begin to have the conversation. What will be your housing needs in the next step of your journey? And have that conversation early. You know, one of the things that senior or parents, I should say, do not discuss with their adult children is financial and is need and is plan and is long-term. In fact, most attorneys who handle estates and wills and trusts and so forth will say, have that conversation before the time of need. And it may be in housing, have that conversation before the time of need, before one of the senior parents have passed away, and immediately after the funeral, before somebody is having to go into assisted living or a type of emergency care and what have you. So it might be interesting to see what kind of conversation should a adult child and a parent have well in advance of potential housing needs.
And I think it's a case by case because
Exactly.
I've had some that are downsizing. They're like, woohoo, my kids are gone. I don't need this big old house. I'm going to buy something small and I'm going to travel. And they're extremely excited about the process of you know, selling that house and not needing to the upkeep. And then there are others that it is a very emotional journey, and it's hard to talk about. It's hard for them to have those conversations with their children or their children to their parents. Sure. Because they don't accept the change very well. So just to have that patience to just know that no one's forcing them to do. You know, I'm not here to force them. The realtor's not there to force them to. We're just here to help whichever decision that they need to make. But then there are instances where, like you said, those conversations have not been had. And, you know, do they have a will? Have they set up a trust? Which way did they go? And how to have that will probated. You know, a lot of I've come to find out that a lot of people don't know if their parents have wills. They haven't had that conversation. They don't know who the executor of that will is until the time comes, and then it's just a hot mess.
Yeah, you're running under pressure. What is fascinating, and you being the daughter of parents who've lived in the same house, I'm sure they do not fall in this category. But there are many seniors out there who have lived in their homes a long period of time. They have no idea what the value of their home is because they may have bought it for $7,000, brand new tract home in beautiful growing Murfreesboro. And they still think, well, maybe the house is worth $25,000, $30,000. And they have no idea what the, not only equity, the house is probably fully paid for many, many years, of what they are sitting on and what that money can produce in terms of the next chapters of their journey. So it really becomes, as you said, case-by-case study. Would you say if well, before we go any further, please give your phone number and contact number for Cardinal Realty Solutions.
The office number is 615-422-7035.
One more time.
The office number is 615-422-7035. 844-222-7035.
And where are you located?
We are located at 2223 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro.
And that's just past...
It's right next to Sloan's Motorcycles.
Well, do you hear the roar of motorcycles
Yeah,
testing? Oh, do you really?
I'm giving a shout out to Sloan.
Oh, do you have a motorcycle yourself?
No, not anymore.
You did before?
My husband used to have one years ago.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right. So you're a motorcycle Michael riding his big cycle. Absolutely.
In our younger days.
Oh, and Melissa, if you were talking to somebody now that you're in this profession, you're talking to somebody who really has absolutely no knowledge of real estate. And I've got to tell you, and I don't say this in a negative way, I say this in an education way. I have talked to lots of young men and young women basically just entering the pioneer stage of becoming a home consumer is the best way. They're going to be graduating from college, even in terms of negotiating a lease, even negotiating a place to live. The lack of knowledge of young people today. I was chatting, a long chat with one of my granddaughters as recently as yesterday afternoon, and talking about real estate, believe it or not, because she's in college. And I said, what do you want to do after you graduate? And so many young men and young women, they enter college and they're not quite sure what they want to do. And I said, have you thought about real estate investment and real estate ownership? And I was giving her a 101 course, and I even had to define the word equity. And well, what is equity? That's the fact that every month you gain a little more ownership of that particular home. And at the end of a year, at the end of 2 or 3 years, you have a greater share of that home because the bank or the financial institution has less of a share because you've been paying over principal on that loan called equity. What would you tell a young man or young woman why it's so important to know what you're doing in housing?
Partially just because to be educated, you can make an educated decision about the future and what your plans are, and finding the right person to partner with that as far as a realtor goes or whatever. But that's one of the things I think that teacher in me comes out when I'm doing the social media things, and that whether it's posting a video of like what is equity or that kind of thing, educating anybody who comes on our site or on any kind of social media thing that we have, making sure they're educated on those things. And sometimes it's stuff that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, let me post about that. Or so that's
it's actually, and I don't teach real estate, A, because I'm not a realtor, B, I am an investor, so I do have a certain introduction to it. When I do discuss real estate with a young man or young woman, I said, I want you to calculate your income tax filing as a result of being a homeowner. And I want you to calculate what your deduction will be on interest and what your deduction will be on property tax. And then I want you to calculate how much savings you will have in paying Uncle Sam by the fact of home ownership. And that, you have to factor that in, not to qualify for a mortgage, but you have to factor that in for yourself, that your paycheck is apt to be significantly higher, whether it's on a weekly or monthly basis, or whether at the time of tax time you're getting a refund rather than writing a check. So that's key. One of the things that most realtors, in fact almost all realtors, will tell you about property is location, location, location. Talk about, both of you, talk about location and how important that is. What are telltale signs you would tell a potential, I hate to use the word client, I agree with you, a potential friend. Let's call it a realtor, housing friend. How's that for a term?
There we go.
And what would you tell a housing friend about location, location, location?
Well,
Think about that, because we are going to take a break. Think about location, location, location. This is Bill Krause, the Roundtable, visiting with Melinda Lawson and Melissa Taylor from Cardinal Realtor Solutions, we'll talk about location, location, location.
Looking for a charming home close to downtown and MTSU? Look no further than this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 0-lot line at 1341 Sharon Court. This home features a spacious living room, an open kitchen, and a primary suite on the main floor. It could be perfect for a family or a couple who wants to live in the middle of everything while still in a private neighborhood. Call for a showing today, 615-542-1915. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
This is Dr. David Morris with Magnolia Medical Center. Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet, burning pain, balance problems, and decreased quality of life? Magnolia Medical Center can help.
Magnolia Medical Center in Murfreesboro. Online at magnoliamedicalcenters.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstireprostn.com.
Rising interest rates are making the news, but what if you need a new car to get to work? At Heritage South Community Credit Union, we help when others won't. And we could help you get a break from your interest rate when purchasing anything that rolls or floats. This includes new or used autos, boats, RVs, motorcycles, and more. But hurry! This limited time offer ends soon. You can learn more or apply online at heritagesouth.org. Terms and conditions apply. Insured by NCUA.
Let the experts at Cardinal Realty Solutions, based in Murfreesboro, help you with your Middle Tennessee real estate needs.
We were first-time home buyers.
Selling and buying a home can be stressful. Find a realtor you can trust at cardinalrealtysolutions.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Hi, Bill Krause again on the third and final segment of the Roundtable on a lovely, lovely Thursday morning, having a lovely conversation with two wonderful ladies, Melinda Lawson and Melissa Taylor, who I've tabbed as M&M because they're sweet and they bring happiness and they bring not only a good taste in housing, but a good taste in life because they give back so much to the community above and beyond just meeting with housing friends. We got talking and we were ready to talk about location. What does it mean to a prospective home buyer?
Well, I think location is, like most things, is relative. It depends on why you're purchasing that home and what you want. That's part of our exploring process of what you're looking for. If you're looking to purchase an investment property, you may want something closer to the college, where if you're can be able to rent or willing to rent to college kids, you want something closer there. But if you're looking for something that do you want a big yard? Are you looking
have dogs, for
yes,
example.
do you have dogs?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want
yard.
chickens?
Chickens.
Do you want, because, there's location. You can't have chickens. And
especially a rooster.
Right. Are you wanting to have, what are you wanting out of that property for you to be happy to live in is more of to find the location that's suitable for you. So, if you're wanting a big yard with, like you said, for dogs or
chickens,
then you're not going to want to be in the downtown area of Murfreesboro. So I think location can be relative to the person who is purchasing, where they want to be and what they're looking for as a home is where we're going to start looking for location-wise,
One of the areas that I look at location and look at with a different eye and a different telescope is, as I had been a city manager for 25 years, and this is how you would look at neighborhoods. Is it on the rise? Is it stable? Or is it on the decline?
Correct.
And how do you know when a neighborhood's on the decline? If I see a car in the front lawn being stored there, if I see maintenance of neighboring property in great need, if I just sense the neighborhood is on a downward spiral. Not a significant step, but in a year, 2 years, or 3 years, unless it turns around, the neighborhood is going to be deteriorating. You can talk to most appraisers, and an appraisal is going to be based upon, is the bank or financial institution protected over the next 30 years of the loan by the condition or status of the neighborhood. You buy something brand new, doesn't necessarily mean it's automatically going to appreciate. You can look at various communities. One street is on the rise. The next street, same neighborhood, same tract, is on the decline. And it really is fascinating, to be able to see, is this neighborhood on the uprise? Is it on the stability side? Or is it on the downside? And that can become important not only for the financial aspect. Not only is your money, is your value, is your investment going to be protected, what is life going to be like? And if you're in a deteriorating neighborhood, you're going to be living with neighbors who are may have some problems or issues with the police. You're going to be in neighborhoods that are transitioning, that it may have been a group of seniors who have lived there a long time, and now it's transitioned to new people who've bought the homes. So it's really key to look at location, location, location. I always like to ask people who are in the real estate business, would you tell a person which direction the house should be facing? Does anything come to mind? Would you buy a house that faces the north?
I do not tell somebody
or recommend
a certain direction, but there are those that believe that the house needs to face a certain direction. But I do say, like, if you enjoy, if we're out and they want sun coming, if they're a day sleeper, let's look where the sun's coming in, or is that coming into those bedroom windows? Is that going to be a problem for you? When we're out also, you're talking about location and neighborhoods, I generally tell them, look to your right, look to the left, because this is your neighbors, and this is, and you can't, if you expect to move in and then they're miraculously going to clean up, you're probably going to be disappointed. So if you can't handle what's around you,
I was waiting for you to say that, because I can share with you a true story, not with myself, but a story that I heard years ago. A young couple was taken by the realtor to look at new houses. They decided on a new house. They looked to their right. They looked to their left. They looked across the street, and they said, "We love it. We love it." And they bought the house. They went into a 30-day escrow. The escrow closed. They moved in so excited about their brand new house. They had unpacked things the first day. They ultimately, late at night, went to sleep. They're sound asleep, and they hear shh, 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 woo, shh, shh, shh.
Oh my.
They never looked over the back fence that they were on a major railroad line.
Oh my.
And they were freight trains, passenger trains, shh, shh, shh. And nobody looked behind the house. They looked to the right, they looked to the left, they looked across the street, but never looked behind the house.
I'm like, drive around the area.
Oh,
like,
the whole
make sure,
neighborhood.
make sure that, if you're close to the things you want to be close to, and that you are far away from the things that you don't want to be near. Because this is an investment, and it's a big investment.
Do you recommend they call the excuse me, the police department and ask for the census tract police reports?
So I do. We cannot quote statistics,
Absolutely.
but there are websites that they can go to get stats of crime and
in the census tract.
Yes.
And most importantly, when you look at crime stats, you look at trends. Is there a movement upward or movement downward or movement stability and what have you? And you measure from there.
And if this was a one-time incident, or if there is a, consistency of crime in the area,
sure.
that, because unfortunately crime can happen in a lot of places.
Oh, absolutely.
But is it like I said, one-time thing, or is it just a known?
There's another question, and I think you referred to a relationship when you were providing sack lunches for public safety people. You can ask the police department or the fire department specific average response time to that neighborhood. And the response time will be directly related to location of the nearest fire station. The response time will be necessarily related to distance to the police department and so forth. And even information, and primarily on seniors who are very concerned about response time for emergency activity, can be a real interesting point. Your response time is probably going to be lower. Now, on the other hand, you may not want to show a house right next door to a fire station.
Right.
You will have great response time, but you're also better get used to sirens and so forth. How do you identify or define, and both of you ladies can respond to this, the emotional status of looking at property? The emotional status.
It can be very exciting. I think you go through a lot of emotions. Again, depending on your situation, especially first-time home buyers, they're very, very excited about the possibility of owning their own home. But that's one reason why we sit down and have that discussion, to let them know that it's going to be exciting, but you may have moments of stress and confusion and stuff, and those are things that we just need to work through depending on the things that pop up during the process, and just take it one step at a time.
Would you say, and we talked about this off the mic, but would you say if you visited the home of the potential housing friend, could you learn a lot about what their likes or dislikes, or what their habits or experiences have been?
I think a lot of it is in that conversation. Generally, if someone has a home and they're looking to purchase another home, you can get a feel of what, like you said, like their likes, their style of living, what they might be looking for. I also feel that out as we start looking for homes. When we go into homes, I'm like, what did you like about this property? What did you not like about this property? So that I'm getting more of a feel, because you can sit down and have that conversation. And it's like, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a bonus room. Yes, but as you walk through, they're like, oh, I don't like how this is set up, or I love how this is set up, and I want this in my house, and where am I going to put my dog, and where are my kids going to play? I want my child's room close to me, because now I've got teens. I want them away from me.
Yes, the music.
And I think you go through those processes in life. When you first have a baby, it's like, I want their room close to me because I want to be able to hear them, and get to them easily. And then by the time they become teenagers, I'm like, I really need you, on your level.
We're going to buy a house a quarter of a mile away.
Yes, yeah.
Far enough to be away and close enough the refrigerator is always open.
Right, exactly. So it can just depend on, but as you go through that process and get to know people more, then you can feel, and there's been some times that I'm like, this is the house that you have completely described to me, that we have talked about, we've gotten in there, and they're like, nope, that's not it. And I'm like, let's just go look at it. And they get in there like, you pegged it. But then there's other times that they've told me, this is what I want, this one, I find it, and they're like, yeah, that's not what I want.
Our final question to both of you.
Know.
Yeah, a final question to both of you. You're now in the real estate business. We've got a minute and a half to respond. If you were looking for a new house for yourself, based upon your realty experience, would the new house and family change and so forth, but yet would the new house be significantly different than what your image or expectations might have been before you got into real estate?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Well, when I purchased the house that we're in now, my husband and I purchased the house I am now, I think the knowledge I have from I knew more of what to look for.
Right.
And more of like evaluating my family dynamic. And those are things that I have told people before, think about this, think about you're fixing to have, like I said, fixing to have that baby. How far away are you going to want you say master down and bedrooms up, but you got a new baby. Do you want them? You know, those are
that far away.
So those are things that I have come to pay attention to, and things I paid attention to when I was buying the house that we're in now.
Exactly.
What about you?
As for it would be very different because we were like first-time home buyers, and we bought the house as a starter house, and now we're still there and, and everything.
So
it would be very
replacement
different.
And family
it would be
changes.
very different. Yes. Yep.
This is Bill Krause on the Roundtable. We've had a delightful visit with Melinda Lawson, assisted by Melissa Taylor from the Cardinal Realty Solutions over at 2223 Northwest Broad Street. Wonderful young ladies who have been certainly a inspiration to us because they are community servers as well as housing resident servers. Come back and see us sometime soon, and we will see you next Thursday.